do you think that armed with that book and the online help and maybe watching, there's a lot of videos on YouTube and everything that Google has uploaded, should a social media manager or a marketing manager need to be thinking that they need to hire a full-time analytics person, or can they go off and they can figure it out? I mean, Google, in my opinion, it makes it pretty intuitive, but what are your thoughts?
I mean, I think it's pretty self-explanatory for the most part. I mean, you need to go to google.com/analytics, sign up for an account. They'll give you a little snippet of code that you need to, if you have a content management system, like Andrew said, you paste into the plugin area. If it's a hard-coded website, hopefully you don't have 500 pages. But yeah, no, it's pretty self-explanatory, and it's kind of, it's mostly plug and play. But once again, Google Analytics is kind of like a sand wedge. It's depends whose hands it in. It can be very effective in the right hands, and not everyone is created equal with it, so to speak. So.
And the Koshik book, just goes into so much detail from beginning metrics to the most advanced stuff you could possibly do. So, again, if you can get your hands on a copy, I definitely recommend it.
Do you care to weigh in, John, at all?
If you're going to ask me to fix your printer or your laptop, you're probably going to ask me to set up your analytics, and it's about the same kind of work. So it's pretty easy.
Or going to the coffee shop.
Okay.
Yeah, it's easier at getting coffee.
Well, we touched on this a little bit before about the kind of things that you can measure with Google Analytics. And we talked clearly you can measure visitors to your website, excuse me, page views, things like that. What are the other things that we can measure in Google Analytics, and how do those, specifically, what are some examples of things that you can measure that reflect from social media campaigns?
So I kind of touched on it really early on. It's bounce rate. For those of you guys who don't know what bounce rate is, it's somebody who clicks through from an external site, ends up on your site, and leaves immediately. They don't click through to another page. They're considered a bounce. So bounce rate is one of the biggest metrics that I use in order to make sure that you're basically not throwing money away. Every visitor that leaves is just money that you just burned. So if you can find, so you can use Google Analytics and find ways to decrease that bounce rate, and immediately you're getting an increase in your ROI.
And a lot of people think that the only entrance page is their home page, and an optimized website will ultimately, every single page on the website is a landing page. So you can figure out which pages are actually having visitors enter to the website. You can figure out which keywords are, once again, which keywords are referring traffic, and ultimately, once again, then I harp on the goals. I believe that you could figure out exactly which once again which keywords are worth your marketing time and efforts, and laser focus your campaigns accordingly.
Great, thank you. There's another report in Google Analytics that actually lets you see which of the pages on your site are the most popular, and it's just simply called Top Content. Do you ever use the Top Content report in your measurement of your social media efforts or the effectiveness of retaining customers on your website, and if so, how?
Well, it depends on your business. If you're doing a big lead gen kind of SEO, SEM business, then it's going to be fairly useless to you because you'll have so many keywords. So you'll use a different interface. Whereas if you have a small to medium-sized business, or not to say your business is small, but what you're selling or what you're tracking is relatively modest, then Google Analytics works pretty well for that. Sorry.
But for the Top Content report, I guess,
right,
Andrew,
right.
If you're working, managing directly, if you will, on the client side, I don't know, because you're agency side here. Do you use the Top Content report, Andrew, at LuxuryLink, and to kind of assess what's most popular, what's resonating, and then you, in turn, as part of your analytics, you can then repurpose or kind of put a spin on that content, and clearly, they like this topic, so let's go off on another angle about this topic to continue to keep people interested and engaged in our content.
So before that step, we use the campaign report to see which campaigns are the most popular. Then from which campaigns are most popular, we look at, okay, where do we land these people? So from there, we can say, okay, this content is the most interesting, or we can take, let's say, the top 5 most effective campaigns that drove the most volume, and then we can kind of relate that with how many page views after that first click did somebody come, or how many conversions did we get from that click. So once we link those two reports up, then that provides a lot of really interesting information.